You may have seen the first creeper at McDonald's, and I have said that I'm going to update with more of my experiences. If you haven't seen the first one, and would like to, the link will be in the description below. So, my second encounter with a creep starts like this. Again, 16-year-old female, working as customer care manager on front of house at McDonald's. Now, where I am, from when you're front of house, you are required to wear a light striped top, a yellow neck scarf and a pencil skirt to just below the knee, which has a small split up the back. I always buttoned my shirt right up to the top, so I always looked very modest, and I would never say McDonald's uniform is attractive. Anyway, when I worked at McDonald's, I always put my all into everything I did, so I knew tills, drive-through, drinks, serving, etc. I've also always been someone that will happily have a conversation with someone to make their experience more enjoyable and hopefully make them want to come back. I was working on tills when Creeper 2 came through the door. He was a tall, blonde bodybuilder. At least 50 though. He came to the till and ordered. Didn't look very happy, so I asked the obvious question, "How's your day?" etc. We made small talk and we both got chatting about our days. After that, he tells me it's nice to see someone smile around here. Everyone else is grumpy. Nice enough compliment. I was used to it. He was right. Not many people here enjoyed this job. He starts coming in once a week, on a Wednesday morning. Each morning he would come in, we would have a chat. If I was on the floor, front of house, we would sit and chat at a table, and my managers were fine with this, as they knew I made each customer's experience unique. We got to know each other's names. His name was Michael. I started college on a Wednesday and Thursday and worked at McDonald's part-time, so my shifts changed. I worked Mondays, Tuesdays and Saturdays instead of Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays and Saturdays, and sometimes extra days if they needed me. Michael started coming to McDonald's every day to find out when I was working. First red flag, but I figured he's just lonely and needs someone to talk to. Anyways, he worked out my shift pattern and came in on Tuesdays instead, after asking me why I wasn't in on Wednesdays because he missed our chats. He'd do this thing where he'd let someone else go in front of him if it meant that he could come to my till instead. He would wait to one side to get served by me. Odd, but I didn't think too much of it. Just thought he was a man that liked to be served by someone with a smile and had taken a liking to me. Again, we chatted when he came in. This is where it got a bit more weird. We were sat down talking and he decided to really open up to me. He told me how him and his wife were going through a messy divorce. He started going into the details of why. He had punched his son. Now, this guy was big. Like, he looked like a bodybuilder. I can't remember exactly what had happened, but he ended up smacking his wife too, I think. And here he was, telling me about it. I'm no counsellor after all. After proceeding to tell me how big his house was, probably to try and grip my attention, he started telling me how he was living in the basement of the house that he owned, and it wasn't fair. "I'm going to hit her again if this carries on." Apparently, the wife and son wanted him out, and they were going to have it and not pay for it, blah blah blah. He wasn't going to let that happen. His son won't talk to him, blah blah blah. He started asking me for advice, a 16-year-old girl. I didn't really know what to say, so I just sort of said, "Everything happens for a reason, I suppose." And as I went to get up, he asked me to sit back down. Now, I'd already been sitting for near half an hour, and I know I said my managers don't mind, but that's pushing it a little bit. So I told him I really had to go. He carried on trying to get me to sit back down, but just let me go in the end. Now, this may seem totally unrelated, but trust me, it'll make sense later on. In McDonald's, you have sauce pumps, right? Well, they're connected to a big bag of sauce which has this popper in the top of it. You basically pop the tube into the topper of the bag. But Jesus Christ, this thing is fiddly. It can take me about 10 minutes just to get it connected. Then to put the heavy bag in the holder on the side is another 5 minutes. It's a nightmare. Right, back to the story. The sauce had run out, and I had to fiddle about getting it back in. Where the sauce dispenser is right opposite from where Michael always sits. I could feel eyes burning into my back as I did this, and anytime I turn around, he would just be looking at me and just smile. It made me feel a fair bit uncomfortable. But hey ho, it's my job, and you deal with this stuff all the time. Trust me, he is not the first person I've had perving at my bum. He came back a few more times, and each time I felt more and more uneasy. He started being a bit more personal, telling me he thought I was a pretty young girl, and we should meet up for coffee at some point. and I politely declined. Michael then said this. Can I ask you something personal? Depends what it is. I can't promise I will answer, haha. Are you a virgin? I'm not answering that. What size are your boobs? I have a boyfriend, and I'm not comfortable answering these questions. Do you love your boyfriend? Would you ever leave your boyfriend for me? Trying to scare him, I said, my boyfriend is behind the counter, and I don't think he'll be very happy with you asking me questions like that. Just make sure he treats you right. You are a lovely girl. Anyway, I won't be coming back here for a while, so can I have your number? I don't think my boyfriend would be happy with that either. After that, I go to the back room to calm myself down, as this was very unnerving for me. He was an older guy being very strange and asking super inappropriate questions of me. He knew my age, as I told him previously. The day continued. He'd left, and I continued and went home. When I woke up the next morning, I had a message on WhatsApp, a message on Facebook, and a friend request on there, and also an Instagram follow. It was Michael. I don't know how, but he had found all my personal accounts just through my first name. The only way I can think about him finding it out is by asking one of my colleagues what my surname is and getting my number from one of them. Maybe he was friendly with one of the other workers and got my number from them? I don't know. He had messaged me saying how he needed to see more of my pictures. My Facebook and Insta are set to private, but he saw the main pictures from them and my WhatsApp photo. He had sent another message about how he loved looking at my ass when I bent over, crawling on the floor to fix the sauce bags. I don't know if my split in my skirt was revealing, but I don't think it was. Saying all the things he would love to do to me. At that point, I noped out and blocked him on everything. I still get messages, not sexual though, from other accounts he has made, wishing me a Merry Christmas, etc. Even though he should have just gotten the gist of me not wanting to talk to him. Luckily for me, I moved away a week or so after that happened. So, Michael, let's not meet again. Well, anyway guys, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed then please leave a like, share and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you PutridFan for allowing me to read your story. If you missed part 1, it will be linked in the description below. Also, if you missed any of my other Let's Not Me's, they'll be in a playlist in the description, so you don't miss a single one. Well, anyway, I hope to see you soon, and I'll speak to you later.